Welcome, brothers, sisters, and extended soul family, to another tarot card reading. Originally, I didn't have one planned until the next full moon, but I got a calling, I guess you could call it, to do another reading for the 4-4 portal. For those of you who don't know what the 4-4 portal is, there are a lot of creators who've put out videos. It's very easy to find or Google excess information on it. But very shortly, it's a very symbolic, powerful day in the calendar of being the fourth day of the fourth month of the year. The number four is very closely tied to energies around stability, being very productive, being able, being strong, being steadfast. And the 4-4 portal is important, talked about a lot, because you're able to feel those tangible, palpable energies. And what this reading is for is just to get some insight for those of you who want it about what you're starting to do during this 4-4 portal, what it means to you. So, what are you manifesting? What are you creating? What work have you put in that's now going to pay off for you? Or what are you beginning to work on and work towards that you're going to see results of soon that are arising from the energy that you're in with this 4-4 portal? So, for some of you, you're going to see results quickly. And for some of you, you're just starting to plant seeds in the energy around the energy of today. But regardless of which one of you are, if there's a pile here that resonates with you, then please feel free to check that pile out. If you're drawn to one or multiple piles, that's okay. There's no right or wrong answers. Some of you may have only certain sections of certain piles resonate. So take what resonates, take what's meaningful for you, and disregard, leave the rest. So the way I've set up these piles is they're all under 4 moss agates. I didn't do that on purpose. I just thought these moss agates had energies that matched the 4-4 portal nicely because they're about abundance, good vibrations that bring about um, positive changes to physical health, mental clarity, so that you can really focus on your goals, your desires, and where you're directing yourself in the physical and spiritual worlds. And that's kind of what you want to do during a 4-4 portal is direct your focus with conscious intention, because this is a really powerful energy that can be very good for manifestation and creation as long as you are able to focus it. So I have 4 piles, and I pulled tarot cards from 4 decks for them. So every pile gets a tarot card, at least one, from each of the 4 respective decks, as you saw when I was shuffling. And then I decided, instead of crystals, and if one of these moss agates speak to you more than the others, like feel free to pick your pile that way. But besides that, I decided to pull these little stars that I have numbers written on them that have respective messages that I have written down. And I was only gonna give like 1 or 2 to each pile, and then when I was putting on the stars for pile 4, something was like, no, go all out with the 4s. Like, lean into this really hard. So if it feels like overkill, don't be a stick in the mud, okay? Today is the 4 day. And I'm going to introduce the top tarot card that's face up from a brand new deck I got called Midnight Magic, which just has different mushrooms on it. And then I'll read off the numbers on each of the stars because on camera the silver marker is hard to see. But we're just gonna ask, like, what are you creating? What are you manifesting? What are you starting that is gonna take off because of this powerful energy that we're in? Or what have you started that you're gonna start reaping the benefits of? It's a really exciting time. So we'll jump into it with introducing pile one to you. So your stars for pile number one have the numbers 183, 180, 14, and 91. And the significator card I'm using, the face up one for pile number one at least, is the Five of Swords. Pile number two has the significant numbers 31, 99, 17, and 139. And your significator card is the Seven of Pentacles. For pile number three, we have the significant numbers 125, 63, 181, and 190. And your significator card is the Ace of Swords. Lastly, for pile number four, we have numbers 23, 50, 50, 146, and 176. And your significator card is card number 20 with Judgment. So, if you need more time to select your pile or piles, feel free to pause the video now and take as much time as you need. I'd like to remind you that this is, however, a timeless reading. So whenever you find this reading, just know that if a pile resonates with you, then it's the right time. So if you find this for future 4/4 portals, or maybe you find this reading later because whatever you started in early April is finally bearing fruit, then that's okay. And you are just as worthy of finding messages in these piles for you than someone who watched this the day it came out is. So, with that, I will see you in the reading. Welcome, my dears, to pile number one. If you selected your pile based on the Five of Swords significator card, or if you selected your pile based on this moss agate, or the numbers 180, 183, 91, or 14, then this is your pile. I will put your first tarot card right here, perhaps. And I am super excited about this reading. So, the way we're going to do it is we're going to look at all your tarot cards, and then if I need more information, instead of pulling more tarot cards, I'm actually going to pull oracle cards. And the oracle cards I pick will be whatever I feel like picking, instead of having them like laid out beforehand, I think. Dealer's choice on the decks today. And then we're going to end with reading the messages that are designated for the different numbers on the 4 stars that you have. So, you have the 5 of Swords as your first card. And here you have the 4 of Swords, which is interesting, I think. Lots of swords energy. I'm hearing like witty and cunning, which are good things to be, I think. We have the Hermit next. I feel like you're very in your head right now, and your mind is very active. Maybe it's like filled with a lot of new ideas. I'm getting kind of like a whirlwind of thoughts or like a rush of ideas. And then you actually got 2 of these cards. Okay. So we have a tarot card here, or what looks like one. It's a fake, where this card actually isn't a tarot card. It's like the title card of the deck that just is there to make sure you know what it's called and you can advertise it probably. But I leave this card in here because the imagery itself usually holds a lot of significance for me, and I get a lot of messages through it. So I kept it, but let's show you what that imagery is in case it's important later. So we have the Cthulhu Mythology Tarot. And I kind of want to put that here instead of next to the Hermit, which is why I paused earlier. And your last card, which is also in reverse, is the Temperance card. Let me zoom in on it so you can see. Temperance. One thing I'm hearing a lot with the Temperance card being in reverse is like, now is not the time for that. It almost feels like you kind of did the work. I'm hearing like you tempered your mind, potentially from spending time alone or giving yourself space. Like this skull kind of has like a bubble around it, and I feel like you put yourself in maybe a mental bubble, not necessarily that you could get away from everything and all of like the noise and racket of the physical world, if you see it as noise and racket. Excitement might be another way to put it. But you kind of like closed yourself off in some way or another that kept your mind partitioned from maybe outside beliefs, or I'm hearing callings. So I think some of you have been pressured lately to to like fulfill a purpose or a destiny that either you don't feel is aligned with you or was placed on you due to like familial or like societal expectations, and they don't have to directly be somebody directly telling you that this is like your purpose here. I know there are individuals like that out there where like their parents just say like these are our expectations of you. This is what you're going to be. So, like, you're going to grow up and be a lawyer or a doctor. You're going to inherit the family business. You're going to get married and have lots of kids because I want grandchildren. Um, Things of that nature where like your family can place expectations on you, or your boss tells you like you are going to work a lot of overtime and do a lot of extra things, and then we'll talk about your promotion or your raise. Stuff like that um, could be what some of you have gone through, but I feel more what's likely happening for many of you who are watching this pile is that these are expectations that have been not directly said to you or haven't been directly said to you in a very long, long time. But through social cues, um, like very nuanced reading between the lines, portions of conversations, these things haven't been told to you in a long time, but these expectations have still been placed on you and expected of you. And I think you internalized them for a while. So these are things like, I guess, passive aggressive, maybe how it works for some of you. So if your parents are the type of person to loudly ridicule other people, or other people around you in your space while you were growing up, they can inadvertently or indirectly place expectations upon you by loudly voicing what their expectations are, but using somebody else as the subject matter. So, for example, if they ridiculed your friends quite often, saying, like, man, if my kid acted like that, or dressed like that, or looked like that, um, like, I would feel like a failure as a parent. And then you don't have to have your parent tell you if you did those things, I would be very unhappy with you, um, to understand that if you behaved that way, there would be like repercussions of some like very negative variety. And I think that that's sort of the dynamic I'm getting here is like indirectly lots of expectations were voiced to you. And so, because you're used to getting those messages indirectly and reinforced indirectly, and it doesn't have to be just through like parental figures or whatnot, it can be through like social circles too, of if the people you surround yourself with regularly like make fun of or shun or look down upon other types of lifestyles or aspects of life or mannerisms, this can, for some of you, I'm seeing like kind of like how in the movie Mean Girls, they like tear each other apart for what they look like and what they dress like, or um, like there can be like a group of people that kind of laugh at somebody else just because of how that other person chooses to like dress or present themselves in the world or behave or their life choices. It's kind of like I'm getting a story about how there was someone who kind of decided they were going to quit their job and do something else completely. Like they're, um, oh, you know what it reminds me of? There's an episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob and Patrick decide they're going to be entrepreneurs, and they're going to sell chocolate bars, and people laughed at them for that. And then they ended up making a lot of money selling these chocolate bars. Or the episode where SpongeBob says, "Hey, let's paint Krabby Patties different colors." And Mr. Krabs laughed at him, and then it was so successful that Mr. Krabs traded his whole established restaurant for like SpongeBob's Krabby Patty stand. Like there's something about for a lot of you out there, I'm getting the reoccurring theme of either you feel like, or this has actually happened to you, where you've vocalized with the swords, vocalized what you wanted to do and expressed it to other people. And those people either put you down, or what I'm getting commonly occurred is they quite literally like laughed in your face over it, because not only was it outlandish to them, but it was so far fetched and ridiculous in their frame of mind that it was funny that someone could think that way. And I don't think that's a negative reflection on you. I think it's very telling of how limited their beliefs are and how toxic they are, and how strange it is that sometimes people think they have that much sway and knowledge about how this infinite, vast, like crazy universe works for us. And they just think that because they put themselves in a mental box, that applies to everybody else. So, like, there's no way you could do something like fantastic and be able to do what it is that you wanted or you needed to do. And so I feel like what's been happening for a lot of you is you feel like your world is flipped upside down with these two cards in reverse. Like the world that you want based on your intuition, your heart, like following your internal compass of what drives you, what motivates you, what you're passionate about, what you would want to get up and do every single day. I feel like has been like buried or pushed aside, or you still have feelings, maybe like daydreams or wants of going and achieving these things or pursuing and doing these things, whatever they are, whether it's like a career or a hobby, a pastime, a lifestyle, a way of being, that like you just it's not that you haven't accepted it, it's more like you tried to let it go or ignore it or tell yourself like it isn't possible, so it's not worth pursuing. But because it's something that you inherently want to do really badly, because it is a calling of yours, so it's a very profound feeling, you can't really get away from it. So it sort of feels like you're living in this upside down, backwards, I'm hearing for some of you like nightmare world, where it's like you know what you want to do, but everyone you talk to keeps telling you that you can't achieve it. It's not possible, it's not practical. I wouldn't like you if you did it, therefore you're not going to. Something along those lines, or maybe a combination of all of the above. And I feel like with the temperance in reverse and how I mentioned you went through this already, you gave yourself the space, your little mental bubble of still wanting this stuff, still thinking about this stuff, but you just kind of stopped voicing it to other people. And the reason I'm hearing, the reason that this has been like a big part of your life is because for you, your temperance moment hasn't been like a one shot. It's not like a movie scene where one thing happens and everything clicks and the actor goes off on some profound, like whatever. But for you, your temperance was a little more drawn out and careful. And what's been happening is a culmination of lots of moments where your temperance is done when you decide that everyone else's input is not as valuable as yours. And everyone else's input is invalid if it's trying to invalidate like what you feel on a soul level is your calling and your passion, because nobody else can like tell you what that is. And for them to be arrogant enough or fearful enough to feel like they have the right to shut you down or try to like steer you away from this, shut you away from this, is a little bit sickening, and no one can tell you who to ignore, who not to ignore, who to take the advice of, who to surround yourself with, except for really yourself. And so your temperance moment has been a drawn out thing where you'll finally be ready to pursue what you want to pursue when you're doing it purely for yourself. And a big part of realizing that this is your life journey and you're doing this for yourself is in realizing that you don't need other people's validation or support. That doesn't mean you wouldn't like it. It wouldn't be pleasant and it wouldn't be like helpful and encouraging and all that kind of stuff because we're social creatures. We like it when people like us and we like it when we like the same things as other people. But a big wake up call for you is that like you don't need that. And needs and wants are different. But you don't need that. And what you'll find is that when you start acting on these callings of yours, and for those of you out there, if this pile resonates, you know what they are. I don't have to tell you. It's going to be different for all of you because it's a general reading. When you start acting on these callings of yours, it'll feel very freeing and liberating. And that'll make you want to continue doing it and doing it more. It'll gain momentum. And when it does, your social circles will shift and you will find people who love what you're doing and they'll love your story of overcoming these naysayers that have been trying to control you for reasons that don't need to be your problem any longer. And so they were a growing moment for you. For some of you, that moment was longer than others. But when you do the growth, you don't need them to help you grow anymore. You've grown past them. And so you can move on from them being empowered. And that doesn't mean you have to cut them out of your life or anything else like that. It just means that they're not going to hold sway over you and tell you what is and isn't your life purpose and your callings and what you do and don't have the right to do. Their opinions, because they're just opinions, they're not facts. They don't matter because they don't know your truth. Only you know your truth, which means only you get to decide whether or not to act on it. So this is like a very empowering pile, and it's really exciting to see that this is your 4/4 portal energy. Or if you're watching this whenever, your new creative manifestative energy. So I feel like I don't really have to ask what you're going to create and manifest because I think you know for this pile if it resonated. Like you know what you want to do, you know what you want to create, you know what you want to achieve and pursue. So I wanted to quickly talk about the swords cards because other than acknowledging them or probably showing energies of spoken words in the past, I haven't said much about them. So before we move on, I want to do that. And I think I want to start with the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords reflects an energy of taking the time to rest and organize your thoughts. And I feel like that couples really well with the Hermit card here and a lot about what we've talked about. But the Four of Swords being part of a cycle, like it's stable because you're resting. But the next step in that cycle is a five. And fives can be seen as like very scary and upsetting in certain situations. Not all the time, not usually actually. But they seem a little uncertain and upsetting because fives are a very unstable number. And that's why they have a lot of energies and symbolism around change because the best way to motivate change is for something to be unstable. And for you, the Five of Swords, the five in a suit of swords specifically, usually symbolizes some kind of cruelty or acts of cruelty. And I feel like we talked about that a little bit with the energies of a lot of other people shutting you down and trying to direct you, steer you away from your callings and tell you what your life purpose is. Like, that is actually a very cruel thing to do, because if the person listens to you, they end up living a life that, on a deep, profound level to them, is going to feel unfulfilling and hollow. And I think you know what I'm talking about because you're that person that's been feeling unfulfilled and like something's missing. So for you, the Five of Swords has energies around someone performing acts that seem cruel, but there's the flip side of that coin where the Five of Swords can narrate acts of you standing up for yourself. So, like, you essentially, I'm hearing being chivalrous towards yourself. Like, no one's gonna save you, and no one is necessarily going to be called to save you, because part of your lesson here is, without validation or approval of others, you're being tempered and strengthened enough to go pursue your own callings and desires. And if someone were to save you, you wouldn't grow from the situation and learn that strength in the way you would if you were taught kind of a harsh lesson here. And so you're going to learn a lot about how strong you are, how capable you are, how masterful you are of controlling your own life. And so you're kind of going to be your own knight in shining armor. And you're going to save yourself. And that doesn't mean you won't have other people that don't help you later. But for this situation, it's imperative that you take care of yourself. And then you'll cultivate a community that sees you for who you are and likes who you are, and they'll support you later. So, not everything will be you being alone, because I hear that's a worry for some of you. You might feel a little lonely at first while you're shifting the instability here, while you're shifting from putting up healthier boundaries and saying no to people that need to be told no, because you live your life for you. You're not living your life for other people. And that doesn't mean that you can't have other people in your life that are important and you do things for other people and you build a life with other people, but it's still your life that you're building with other people. And I think for you, for some of you, you've been building a life for other people rather than living your life for yourself. And so that's your big wake up moment here. And this is a really profound message, and I'm super proud of you. And I know your future self is super proud of you, because your future self is coming from a place of having gone through this and they feel a lot better. And I want to talk about one thing right here. So on the Five of Swords card, you see these little slugs up top that are like latched onto this mushroom and like eating it, like biting it and sucking on it, whatever. I kind of get the imagery that those slugs are kind of like these people in your life that haven't been doing you any favors and telling you like how to be and how to live. Like, they're doing it because it benefits them or it makes them feel better when they see you live your life a certain way. And there can be a lot of motivations for that. But at the end of the day, the only thing it really does when you comply is it harms yourself. And I feel like your future self is really proud of you, and they're coming from a place that is in like a really tranquil, calm, stable, healthy place. because more or less they kind of just like picked all these slugs off them and said, stop it. And I think there's a very real message here of you can't make space for more positive beings in your life until you move away some of these negative things. So when we say no, when we say stop it, when we distance ourselves from certain toxic things, we create space for new things to come in and grow and flourish. So I feel like that's a big part of what you're going through. So yeah, it is going to maybe feel a little lonely for some of you at first, because that loneliness is the space before better things come in. And so you feeling lonely for a little bit, or things feeling quiet for a little bit, take that as an encouraging sign that you're doing that first step towards building that life, filling your life with a community that loves you for who, not only who you are, but like who you want to be and what you've accomplished. It's a really big moment, and I can hear like your spirit guides are also very proud of you. I'm gonna start tearing up. So I don't know if I want any oracle cards. I hear some of you asking like how long is this gonna take? And I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do with that question. Here's what I'll do. Okay. I have a feeling these decks are going to be able to give us some information on a timeline. Um, or three of them are. But I think this deck right here, the Shadow Work Oracle, I just feel like there's an encouraging message that can come from this deck that somebody wants to give you. So we're going to do that. We'll take these two and see what we get. We have grief and we have attachment. I think that's really telling. So it says, attachment says true growth requires letting go. And so this is just an encouragement to a lot of you out there to put up healthy boundaries, let go of things that are toxic to you, hurting you, performing those acts of cruelty we talked about by not letting you pursue your callings, whatever that means to you. And I think with the grief card here, this is just another confirmation that there's going to be a moment where, even though these people or these habits or these things, these influences, whatever they were like bad for you, it still might feel bad letting them go, and you might have to grieve letting them go because they were something familiar. And stepping into the unknown can be quite exciting, but it can also be really scary. And people and influences and things, like things that we have emotional relationships with, are multifaceted, and it doesn't have to be black and white. Like, just because people are very cruel to you in one way, in one aspect, doesn't mean that everything about them is horrible and you shouldn't like them. And I think that you have to be like very emotionally mature and aware and patient with yourself, and understand that just because you're letting go of something because it is the right choice for you doesn't mean that letting go of that thing is going to be easy, and it doesn't mean there aren't certain aspects of it that you're going to miss. um, because people, if these are people that you're putting up boundaries with, or distancing yourself from, for example, if somebody, a specific someone, tells you all the time like, you're not going to do that, you're not going to be successful, you're not going to pursue this because I don't want you to, like, whatever it is, they might say all those things, right? But maybe they're really fun to hang out with. Um, and when you distance yourself from them because it's healthy for you, maybe that means you miss enjoying like nights out on the town with them, or you like lose a drinking buddy, or all of a sudden the person that you confided in with all of your like your other problems with people at work or some other issues you've had throughout the days, like maybe that person's gone now because you can't confide in them without them also telling you like, hey, you're still not going to do this thing. And so you decide like, okay, I just won't talk to you about like my stuff then. And then that feels kind of bad and you miss it, and so there's some grieving involved, and I think that's okay. And so I think there's a message here of giving yourself like space and the time and the patience and empathy to be okay with the fact that you need to grieve. Um, like, I see it being painful and damaging for you to tell yourself like, oh, I shouldn't even miss them. That's ridiculous. Like, how could I be so like weak or stupid um to actually want them. Like, there's nothing there. And it's like it can be very multifaceted. It doesn't have to be just that simple. And so if it's not that simple, like, be okay with that. And there's a reason for that. And it doesn't mean you go like running back to them if you don't want to in moments of weakness. But it just means that you don't shame or harm yourself further for like very real emotions that are very justified because you have them and they're yours. And acknowledging them and understanding them for what they are and where they're coming from is the easiest way to be able to just like let them go and move past them and make space for new, better things. Okay, so that was this deck. That was the deck that just told me like, hey, I have some like extra advice, but it has nothing to do with like timelines or outcomes. So I want to look. I want to look at the other decks I have here, and we have the Wild Child Oracle cards. Hello. That one came out quick. I didn't even get to say what I wanted to say yet. I was gonna say like, I was kind of hearing a lot. If you pull out a card that shows spring esque weather on it, then that means that this change, like, you'll start seeing or you'll start committing to heavily, like it will be obvious it's occurring in spring. And I'm not really sure if I wanted to say that out loud, because if I don't pull a card with spring, it's like, what do you expect me to do? um, but I think it's kind of saying like whatever seasonal vibe or time scale vibe we get from any or all of these cards we pull may apply to a decent amount of you out there in this pile. That was a lot of cards, so we're gonna. I want to stop, but I'm hearing one more, so fine. One more. There you go. Okay, no more. Stop it. So, oh, and I looked at the back of the deck, so I guess we'll see the back of the deck. Opportunity. There we go. Let me zoom in so you can't say you didn't see it. Opportunity. Leaping over the cliff. I'm getting the idea that like as you take this leap of faith to jump to a higher way of being, because this cliff is above that ridge there. When you're in the air, that's the change, right? Stability to something else stable and exciting. And so when you take that leap, you're going to feel uncertain, You might have moments where you're like, why did I do that? You might have doubts, but like, don't let those doubts get in your way, because if you doubt and start flailing in the middle of the air, you're going to go down and you're going to find a pit further than where you were. Like, just be confident with yourself and um, like take that leap and be proud that you did it, and encourage yourself and be grateful of the strength that you have to actually do that, and then follow through with it. And so right here it might feel empty and you might feel a little bit alone because you let go of everything, it's behind you, and the stuff in front of you you haven't met with yet, and that's okay. um, but when you get to that other side, you'll find a lot of other people that are a lot happier with you. Season wise, I guess you could say this is close to like winter. So if that resonates with you, cool. But for a lot of you, I'm getting that this card has like nothing to do with seasons at all. This card has another leaping, hooved figure. This is Reverie. And with this card and your other card here, Crescent, I'm getting a lot of symbolism around the moon. Like this one quite literally has moon phases on it. So for some of you, the lunar cycle could be important. For some of you, the next time you actively notice that the moon is in a crescent, that could be like important symbolism for you. The moon's almost always in, or I shouldn't say almost always, but like a quarter of the time the moon's in a crescent. So this could be very different for a lot of you. I know the moon at the time of filming is in a crescent that looks really close to this, actually. It's like the bottom portion of the moon is filling out. So I just think that means like now. If you're seeing this video right when it comes out, like now. And if now feels good for you watching in the future, then also now. There's a lot with the Echo card here having the full moon. There's a lot that just says like at night. And I think for some of you, this might be specific, but I think for some of you, like you've been having a lot of these thoughts at night, like before you go to bed or when you have time to think by yourself and kind of reflect on things. And then you get that hollow feeling again of like, my life doesn't feel good because I'm not really doing what I want to do. And I think that for some of you, you might just have a moment where you just say like, enough is enough, cold turkey, I'm making the change right now. And so you take like this leap like at night. I remember I have a story for this. Take it as you will, just to give the energy. I was considering during my undergraduate and college of going vegan for a little bit, and I considered it for a while. I kind of molded over for quite a while, and one day after thinking about it for like quite a few weeks or possibly months, I just decided like, yeah, you know what? Like let's go for it. Let's give it a try. And I went out into the kitchen. I had two roommates at the time and they were both like sitting on the couch. I went out into the kitchen and I grabbed a garbage bag and I just kind of grabbed all of like the little odds and ends, um, like crumbs or half-eaten things of whatever, like snacks and things that weren't vegan. And I just sort of like bagged them all up and then took them outside and threw them away and was like, all right, like let's do this. Let's actually try this. Let's be vegan. And I remember my roommates just like looked at me when I came back in and they were like, did that just happen? Like did you just throw away like a whole bunch of stuff from the kitchen? And I had to like tell them like, yeah, I did just do that, because they were so surprised that like I would just randomly, to what them looked and felt like it was on a whim, just get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And I feel like that's what this energy is going to be like for some of you out there, where it's like you're finally ready, like you're finally tempered, and you take that leap, and other people will kind of be shocked because they didn't see you wanted to do this for a long time, even if they've been telling you don't do that for a long time. For some reason, they're still gonna. Some of you might get hit with the "Where is this coming from? This is a rash decision. You should think about this." And like one, that's more denial. So leave that in the past where it should be. Like they're already behind you when you take that leap. They're just trying to pull you back um, to their lower way of being instead of being over here. Like don't let them do that. Um, but I think that like it will be shocking for a lot of people that like you're actually doing it. Even if they've been seeing that you've been wanting to do it, or like you've told them in the past you've wanted to do it. It's going to be shocking because they thought they had you where they wanted you. So, so before we end, let's take a look at these last three cards, and then we'll move on to another deck. So we have Mirage, Mirage, and I'm hearing for some of you like I'm hearing for some of you with the Mirage card, it's not what it seems, which is very like classic for Mirage. Like not a lot of information there. But one of the things I'm getting here is that when you're at your most alone, you're at your most powerful. Because I think for a lot of you, you kind of feel like you want this social group or like you need these other people in your life. And that's why, even though they keep telling you not to do what you're called to do, you continue to not do it. And I think for a lot of you, you're going to find that when you let all those people go and you have that moment of being lonely, like that's when you're kind of at your biggest. And I think that that's going to be happening like very soon for you because we're asking about what's happening today or like what are you starting today with the 4-4 portal. So if you're listening to this now, this is happening very soon. And if you're listening to this in the future, this is happening quite close to when you find this video. So the last two cards we have here are Desolate and Decay. And I suppose with Decay, you could say that that's spring because of the flowers and the butterflies, the green grass. It's very spring or summer feel to it. And with Desolate, the thing that stands out to me here is like the golden color in the back and the tree without the leaves. It feels kind of like right before everything wakes up in spring, like right before all the trees get their leaves back. For some of you, I guess this could mean fall, if like the fall colors are more important to you. But I think for most of you, this is talking about how this is like when the rain starts coming in spring, but it hasn't shifted to like full blown spring yet. So like the grass comes up and gets green and like a few flowers sprout and like the bugs come out. But like the trees haven't regrown all of their leaves yet, which at time of filming, like that's pretty much what's going on outside. So for those of you who asked about time or were interested, I think um very soon to when you see this video or like now or quite possibly you just started it. So I don't see this happening in like the distant future. Okay. Kind of want to leave the little leap of faith card here. There we go. That looks okay to me. So I promised I'd look at 2 more decks, even though we sort of got our answer. So we'll just do that real quick. So do you have any extra pieces of advice for pile 1? There we go. We'll take the 2. So we have, start with this brown one. Prosperities, sisters, are happiness and joy. And then we have choose who you are becoming. I feel like both of these are just affirmations. Specifically, these are coming from future self and spirit guides. So it's more encouragement that even though this change might feel scary or jarring, it's very much worth it. And I'm getting the big message of just choose joy, because doing what you're called to do will give you like happiness and joy on a more profound level than you would find it in very surface level, like someone makes you laugh with a good joke or something. So this is fulfillment on a higher level. For those of you who are wondering if I pursue this thing, will it eventually be fruitful? I think the answer is yes, because it's talking about prosperities, sisters. So you will be prosperous, whatever that means to you. All right, in the last deck, I would like to look at is potentially a little more cryptic, but I like it. And I think we're just going to look at the top card that got flipped here. All right. So we have plate and cemetery. We have vacant and occupied. Occupied. And when I was pulling out this deck, I heard bury the dead, and I don't think for most of you like this is more talking about how there are people or energies, more than anything, like ways of thinking and beliefs that came from other people that have been like denying you, and you're at a point in your life where you can finally like let those thoughts die and just like bury them where they are and just let them be dead. Okay. So the last thing we'll do is a couple more pieces of encouragement with the stars, because I said I would grab a message for each of them. And so what I'm gonna do is I have 4 books with like nice, encouraging, inspiring quotes in them, and I'm gonna grab 1 star for each of the books, and we're just gonna go to the page number that the star correlates to. And that's how we're going to do this. So I think what we'll do is we'll say star 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll just, we'll go in order here. So the first star is number 180. And here we have page 180. It reads, "You are not the pain that broke you. You are who it made you become. And I don't think there's anything to add to that. That's pretty great piece of advice at surface level for you. So your second star is number 183. So your page 183 here. It's kind of a longer quote. I'll let you pause if you would like, and then I'll read it. And it reads, they felt that a numerology reading might shed some light on their confusion. They wanted confirmation of their choices through a zodiac chart, tea leaves, or an Ouija board, and they asked if finding a new guru would be a good idea. See? Sorry to lay that on you. I'm just fishing around for some new answers to the bazillion questions I get each week about careers, loves, and destinies, which to me, from here, are kind of like crayons. And I think it's funny that you would find this this quote in a reading that has tarot cards, but I don't think it's trying to burn you. I know there's more. I just want to pause real quick. I don't think it's trying to burn you, but I think it's trying to reiterate to you how this is a choice that you are going to make when you're ready, and no amount of outside opinions are going to change that fact. Like, you'll make the choice when you're ready, and you'll be unwavering when you do make that choice. This is just a little bit of encouragement in the direction of do it, instead of a lot of the input you've been hearing from other people who say don't do it, like we talked about with the slugs here. So it says, nice magenta. Sure, use all the tools, guides, and helpers you like. I approve of them too. Glad I got approval from a book. But maybe reread the fourth paragraph above as well. So with this, it's definitely just encouraging you to understand that, like, no one can really tell you how to live your life. There's just different bits of information out there that might help you hear what, like, different parts of you want to or need to hear to encourage you to go down the path the way that you want to, which is all I can really do. Like, more or less, you can classify me as just entertainment. So this is more about, like, you understanding what your calling is and then pursuing that the way that you want to. So your next star is number 91. All right. Page 91. Here it is if you want to pause. It reads, what a cool party, huh? Ever see so many happy, smiling faces dancing around like they don't have a care in the world? The food's from New Orleans, the chef from Paris, and the dancers are Bohemians. And how about all those helicopters and yachts bringing everyone to the island? What a trip! It's kind of loud here. Let's go down to the pool. No, the other pool. By the tiki torches and palm trees, so we don't have to compete with the bongo drums. That's better. Now that I have your attention, and before we get swept wide by the next conga line, I want to thank you. Thank you for being such an incredible example, and of course, thank you for inviting me to your party. You've really outdone yourself, again. Your home here is spectacular, Your friends are a blast. And oh my, in quotes, God, isn't that Mick Jagger singing? And it says, by the way, what are we celebrating this time? And at the bottom it says, get used to it. So the details in the party, like, aren't really important. This isn't about if you would prefer other things than what they listed. It's the bottom line that just says get used to it that's really important here. And I feel like this is saying every day will kind of feel like things occur in it that are worth celebrating when you go to that higher way of living by actually pursuing your callings. Like every day is going to feel like it has a purpose and it's worth it, and it's like a good day to live, even if good things aren't always happening in that day. Last star is number 14. We will go to page 14 here. And page 14 is pretty simple. It just says you do have time. So if you feel like you don't, you have all the time in the world, because you'll make this change when you're ready to and you want to. And whenever that is the right time for you. So it's the perfect time for you. And for a lot of you, that time is right now. But like, no one gets to decide when you're ready besides you, despite what any messages in this reading said. So that is all I have for you. And I would like to thank you for allowing me to be your tarot card reader and deliver like such an exciting, profound message. If you want to tell us exactly what's going on, because I would love to cheer you on, feel free to leave a comment, or you can email us. Our email is in the video description if you want to keep things more private, because we don't share emails or display them. If you would like any of the crystals in this video, you can literally buy this moss agate. This one is labeled number 4 on our website. You can do so. We have a link to our website in the description, and you can find it on there. So that is all I have for you, and I will catch you next time in a brand new reading. Welcome, my dears, to pile number 2. So if you chose this pile based on this moss agate, the numbers 17, 81, 139, or 99, or with the significator card 7 of Pentacles, then you have found the right reading. I'm quite excited about this reading, not only because we're talking about what's happening for you during the 4/4 portal, or a time of like great manifestation in your life, because this is a timeless reading, but because the significator cards are all tarot cards from 4 different decks, and then if we want more information, we're actually gonna pull just oracle cards, and I'm pretty excited to see how this goes. So with the stars here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have each of these stars line up with a different book. I have 4 books with like encouraging or motivational quotes in them. So at the end of the reading, we'll end off with reading the quotes that are associated with these numbers. So we'll get to that. And right now, I'm just going to put these stars off to the side and we'll get going. So, of course, we have the 7 of Pentacles, which I did show you. So I think we're just going to put that over here. Your next card is the King of Pentacles. Lots of pentacles. It's funny, in pile one, the suits of those two cards match too. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles. And we have the Six of Wands in reverse. With the Pentacles here, one thing I heard was just money. Like, I think, oh, it looks kind of blank over here, huh? I think that for some of you, if you've been working really hard on finding like new sources of income, like diversifying your income, trying to get a promotion, anything like that, this is an encouraging, like, good sign for you that you're on the right track and that stuff's going to come soon, even if that means a little bit of patience. But I think for others of you, I keep getting a message that, like, if you're worried about food for some reason and what you're going to eat, like, you don't need to be. Like, you're going to just have, like, a lot of that around. So if that resonates with some of you out there, then there you go. The other thing I want to talk about here is this isn't just about like bringing abundance to you. I see that this is also like with the Knight, this is kind of like bringing abundance to you and wherever you go. But with the King, I'm seeing that like you're gonna have a lot of just physical abundance in some way, whether that's like wealth, food, objects, lots of like land, space to live, whatever it is. I'm seeing that like you'll have an abundance of it that you're okay with like divvying up and giving out to people. And it's not like you're gonna give away anything that like you would be upset with parting with, but for some of you, I'm getting the specific message of like if you've really been wanting to like run a business or start a new product line in some way, like you're going to have that very soon. Like you're gonna get what you need to be able to um, have like a large inventory so that you can actually sell that to people. It's hard to do that without a thing to sell sometimes. So I'm seeing that if you wanted to like expand into a new product line, or maybe you're like gonna start a business as an entrepreneur selling something, you're gonna get a hold of whatever it is you want to sell. And this being like very pentacles energy, very like earthly physical energy, I see this as most likely being like some kind of physical product to sell, but I think that like if you wanted to do digital products or you're more on the side of like formulating your thoughts to design something, you're going to be able to do that, but like whatever you're doing, it's going to translate into something physical that then earns you abundance. So if you're designing something, that design's going to be like printed somewhere or mass distributed somewhere or like brought in some way to something physical. Or if you're like with digital art, a lot of times people will like paint or draw something digitally, but then that gets transferred to like desktop backgrounds and tapestries and printings on mugs and printings on shirts and posters and stickers, tapestries, if I didn't say that one yet, and like printed canvases, things like that, where like your ideas somehow get pushed out into the physical world where they can live and thrive, and that gives you like a lot of money. Money. So I see that being something for you, and you have a lot of joy around money. Like that's kind of where your headspace is at. Like I just keep hearing in my head like money, money, money. And I think that it's paying off for you because like that's been your drive for a long time. Um so there's like money around you with these pentacles here, but you also kind of have your sights set on more pentacles, or like bigger, like higher amount pentacles as well. So it's like you're accruing a lot of wealth and then you're still finding more of it because you can see where it's going to be and where it is. And I think a lot of that is like intuitive for you. And it's not necessarily like, oh, if I go do this thing, it'll make me a lot of money. It's more just like you're called or pulled to make certain choices in your business or your personal life, or social life, that then lead just to different outcomes that have a lot of wealth attached to them. So that's that. Let's talk about the Six of Wands in reverse real quick, shall we? I think that one thing I want to point out with the Six of Wands is, for some of you, this could be greed. So this is a warning of like, you definitely have enough and you're definitely going to have enough, more than enough, because it's more than you have right now. So there's no reason to have anxieties over if you're going to keep having enough, or if you're going to accrue enough in the future, or like, for those of you with business, I'm getting some of you might worry, like, even though I'm making more money, what if like the stocks go down or the shareholders aren't happy? And I'm kind of seeing that like those anxieties tell you a lot about like maybe what you need to do. Like if you have people in like your corporate office or like high up in management that like aren't satisfied even though stuff's doing great, like maybe this isn't the environment for them and they need to go somewhere else and like not rain on your parade, you know? But I'm also seeing for a lot of you, this is the energy of like you're really successful, but you're not sharing it with a lot of people. Like you're gonna amass like more wealth and abundance that you know what to do with, but you're afraid to tell other people about it because you don't want them to like look at you differently or ask you for money all the time. Like you don't want to become known as just like that friend everyone hangs out with, because if they're nice to you, maybe you'll give them something they want, in this case, money. Um, and I think that for some situations and instances, like that's an okay energy to have. And like you definitely want to be discretionary with who you, I'm hearing, like out yourself to about how well off you are, because there are always those kind of people in the world that like feel entitled to have what you have because they want it. But I think that for some of you, like you should exercise your caution with caution, because I think there's a lot of trust to be found in people that are close to you, in understanding that not everybody will treat you different, um, just because you have an abundance of something they don't. So the best I can get from this card is just to exercise caution, but don't be like overly paranoid about it. Kind of like feel out the situation, and through your intuition, like you'll know who to trust with this information, and who not to trust, and like who to be charitable to. And you can kind of understand through that. Like you'll get better at it as you move on. And for some of you, since you started from a place of wealth, you're just amassing way more of it. I see that you already are okay at navigating through this. But if somebody turns out to be like very greedy and wants stuff from you just because you have some you could give them, or they think you could give them, that doesn't mean that like you have to keep subjecting yourself to them. And you can put up like healthy boundaries if they start to change how they act or behave, just because they see you as having something that they want. And so being able to follow your intuition and knowing you have the power to just tell people like no, or go away, or stop it, I think that these anxieties don't need to be placed the way that they are. um, so more or less the message I'm getting is just like, it's fine, like you're okay, you're smart, you'll figure it out. And you don't need to worry because if a problem does happen, like you can very easily solve it. So this is all good stuff. It's good energy. And I think it's extra powerful and encouraging that you're seeing this in the 4-4 portal reading because this is the energy of essentially like ultimately manifesting what you want. Like, this is energy of taking your dreams and desires and rooting them in the physical world. It's the energy of like stability and seeing like your creative efforts and your wants, needs, and desires like actually bear fruit. So that timing and this portal and that energy with your energy of being able to amass more wealth than you already had, and probably more than what a lot of you are currently striving for and think possible, is really exciting, really powerful stuff. And I think that's why in our cards we just see anxiety around like what if people treat me different for it? Like what if there are like some negative repercussions that happen from me getting all this wealth instead of anxieties around am I going to get this wealth or how much is it? Like I think you already know um this is going to happen. And when I say I think you know, I'm saying I think your higher self knows, and like in your heart of hearts, you know, like your soul knows, even if like your conscious mind, the one that's listening to this reading right now, doesn't know. Or your ego is trying to tell you you don't know. Like, I think you know. So I'm not worried about that. And I think what we'll do now, because this message is so clear, especially with the Seven of Pentacles, which is the energy of results of work that you've been doing, is clear. Like it's there, it manifested, it's set in the physical world. I think we can move on and we can pull some oracle cards. And I have no idea what oracle cards I want to pull for you because more or less your energy seems pretty solid. So, not sure what questions I want to ask. Your reading feels really definitive and has such an excellent energy of abundance. Like, this is what people dream of when they understand what the 4-4 portal is. So, or they're trying to manifest. So, you should be like really happy and really proud. Um, so I'm gonna leave the reading open ended, and we're just gonna see what cards we get, and if it's encouraging, great. If there are messages or reminders, great. So we'll just see how it goes. And you got two cards from this oracle deck. So we have the turtle, which is water, and the gazelle, which is fire energy. And I think we'll put them down here. Yeah, that doesn't look bad, right? And before I unpack these cards, I actually want to grab a couple more cards for you. So we're going to grab some from this deck, which is also animal themed. So I guess we're doing some animal related stuff with your piles, pile number 2. So do we have any messages for pile number 2? I kind of want to take this one, so we will. We have the Starfish Spirit. It's number 59, and it says open to infinite possibility. And I kind of want to put that right over here. You have a lot of like almost what looks on the camera as like beige tones coming through, which is really funny actually, because this card's all gray and this is gold gilding, but it's coming across as like similar tones. And I'm getting the message that like visually reflecting this idea that like everything is starting to sync up with you, and that's why you're getting like this rush of abundance at once that's going to maintain itself long after this. So this isn't like a fleeting high or fleeting abundance, which I think some of you may have been anxious about as well. This is like a longevity thing. This is a long lasting stream of income or wealth. And if you're not doing anything, this is feels like a windfall to you. Know that the energy will keep bringing you more windfalls. So if this is like what you would consider a lucky break, you're going to keep having lucky breaks because on some profound level, you kind of like unlocked that energy of understanding how to get that. I want to grab just a couple more cards because I want to see if there's anything else somebody wants to talk to you about. Because I think I've had this card in another reading. It's got more of that like color that we're talking about, that kind of like orangey beige. And I want to look at the back of the deck actually. A quantum leap called it. No, I'm not going to toot my own horn in your reading, but with the quantum leap here, this is kind of what I'm talking about with opening to the infinite possibility. So maybe we'll put this over here, where you did something on a spiritual level to like manifest what you want in the physical plane. And it looks like what you wanted the most of is either money or it's something that you're going to get or achieve that wasn't possible without all this money. So you finally have that. And for some reason, when I look at these hands, I think of like letting go. And I have no idea what you're letting go of. You might be letting go of this energy with the Six of Wands. You might be letting go of anxieties. You could be letting go of the past. One thing I'm seeing is like you can't let go without freeing up your hands to hold on to something else, to something better. And I kind of got two different messages or examples with that. One of them being if you're holding some clothes that are really worn out and scrappy, like a t-shirt that's just gotten too beaten up, it's got too many holes in it. You know what I'm talking about. um, you can't hold on to new clothes until you let go of that t-shirt. If your hands are busy holding on to it. Or it's like on the first day of kindergarten, there's that one kid, maybe you were that kid, where there's a kid that like holds on to their parents' coat with their hands because they don't want to be in a place that's like brand new that they're like insecure in, but they can't move themselves freely into and around the classroom to go make new friends or play with the toys until they let go of their parents' coat. And I'm kind of seeing that for some of you here, what you're doing is like you're letting go of these things that like either don't serve you or you feel like they're not good enough for you anymore because you've heightened your physical experience to embody better things like better food, better luxuries, more delectable things. So maybe you were always well fed before, but now you're upgrading just to have like finer things, like finer luxury meals. You always had clothes, but you're gonna like have the money to redo your whole closet and like upgrade the clothes that you wear to like designer brands, cutting edge things, luxury brands if you're into that, or just like jeans that aren't, like Walmart quality, they actually last a while. Stuff like that. Form fitting stuff, like actual tailored clothes that are designed to actually fit your shape instead of just these like box potato sack shirts. Stuff like that. Where it's like you already had technically what you needed and some of what you wanted, but you're getting like such a better version of it. That's what I'm saying with the King of Wands is like it's not a taste, this is the upgrade that will be with you your whole life again. And a lot of you are finding that like through money, a lot of you just want that much more money, so you can like travel or do whatever experiences you want, like share it with other people or buy things to share with other people. Like we kind of covered all that. I don't want to get back into it. But this is really exciting. Like something in you actually synced up and unlocked for this. And I think one of the next steps after realizing that is just that, like, there's nothing to be anxious about, because if somebody starts getting weird about your success that you, regardless of if you're aware of it, you worked really hard for, um, those people, like, they don't have to take up space in your life. Like I'm seeing with letting go, you might be letting go of people that just start like behaving strangely or self-entitled or like impose themselves in on your life because they want stuff from you. You can just like push them out of your life, or put up boundaries, or just like not tell them about it if you know they're going to be weird. But if you know they're going to be weird and you can't like share your full life with them, is that someone you really want to have to be around and like be guarded around, and not just like let yourself be the way that you want to be? And like only you can answer that question, but I'm hearing for some of you that's a genuine question to ask. So I want one more card, and then we'll unpack these two right here. So this is the last deck we're going to pull a message or two from. We'll see what happens. Do you have any more messages for pile number 2? We got 3 of them. They cheated. They snuck extra ones out on me. Okay, well, we'll look at these 2 first. So back when I said, do you really want to be around people you feel like you can't be your authentic self with? I think this card is for those of you who that resonated with. There's nothing sexier than my authentic truth. This is an adult channel. We said the word sexy, get over it. And then we have, thank you, universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. Thank you for expanding my perceptions so that I can see what is of the highest good. And I think that part of this is when you allocate your resources the way you want to. So whether that means you don't give your money away to anybody, whether that means you give gifts. Because when I look at this king, I just see him as like presenting this gift to somebody, like this giant, expensive, like pearl or sphere. When you decide who you're giving stuff to and not giving us stuff to, people might have opinions about that because people are weird and they think they're entitled to other people's stuff just because they want it. And like, I don't know, that seems to be like a common theme here, but some people will probably come at you with accusations of being arrogant, being egotistical, being greedy, being selfish, being a jerk. And I think that one thing that's really cool about you is you're self-aware enough and strong enough to understand that like these other people that say that just because you're not giving them what they want doesn't mean that you're any of those things. It means they're all of those things. Like if they're upset they can't have your money, regardless of how hard they think it would be for you to like give it to them or how hard it was for you to have it. They're the arrogant one, they're the selfish one, they're the jerk, they're the asshole, like they're the entitled prick that's playing favorites. And I think that that's just really cool. I would say like remember that it's a good message, but like what's really cool is like your future self is telling me like that's how you feel about these people, and so like you're not anxious about anything because like you're you and you don't feel the need to hide it, and you connect with people you want to connect with, and if someone's weird about it, like they're not in your life anymore because you chose for them to not bother you, because like no one should rain on your parade, especially this magnificent of one, because like it's hard to quantum leap. Like you have to do a lot of spiritual work to be ready for it. So whether you're consciously aware of the fact that you did this, You did it and you should be really proud of it. And this could have taken you like lifetimes to do. And maybe that's why some of you are like, I didn't work that hard. Either you're downplaying yourself, you did a lot of spiritual work you're not aware of, or like you did this in other lifetimes that like you don't remember. And this is like a really incredible feat. And so if someone's going to be like a spoiled brat about it, like they don't need to be there. But enough about them, because we're here for you and all of your amazing achievements. And this card does a good job of moving on. So this one says, through prayer and meditation, I create a ripple effect of peace in the world. And I feel like this, first off, you don't have to be religious or pray to anyone specific or pray at all for this card to resonate with you or be significant. Putting that out there. But it feels just like this breath of like calm, fresh air. And it's so tranquil. And I think this is how you quantum leaped, is somehow you found a way to sit in this energy. And you attracted more of that energy and it just moved you along. It's kind of like you did the work to make the wave that is now carrying you and you're surfing on. Like you started it, but now it's just going. And it's not going to crash on you, and it's not going to crash anytime soon. And you'll get off the wave when you no longer feel like being on it. But like you feel like being on it for a long time because you did so much work to start it. Like starting a wave is not easy. Not a big one you can surf on anyway. So you did a lot of work, and like for some of you, like moved spiritual mountains to get it to go, and now that it's going, like yeah, you do deserve to enjoy it, and you don't even need me to tell you that. Like I'm so excited for you. Something I'm hearing for some of you is like, when is this gonna happen? And I feel like you already know it's happening so soon, if not right now, if not like, what I'm hearing is things have already been put into motion, mostly by your spiritual self, for this to just go. And so seeing those ripples in your physical world are going to come so damn fast. Uh, like you don't have to worry about the when at all. Like you honestly, you don't have to worry about anything. And a lot of what this card is showing you is that like you're going to realize that really quick and worry about like nothing. um it's such empowering, such cool, such beautiful energy. So I do want to like read these two cards for you real quick, or talk about them with you, and then we'll move on to the little star messages and we'll be done. And then you can go celebrate because you deserve to celebrate. This is ridiculous. This is like the coolest energy like you could have gotten for a 4/4 portal. These two animals are really cool to see together. And I don't know which one I want to start with because they're like playing off each other to actually explain your energy to you. The one thing I want to say is like you're very balanced. Like fire and water are usually thought of as opposites, and here like they're actually kind of in harmony with the way that these two cards explain a balanced soul. And with the gazelle is like hyper aware of their surroundings, you know, because they're prey animals, and so they're designed to be able to detect when a predator is gonna try to nab them. And what I'm hearing when I unpack this card is that like there's nothing to be hyper aware of anymore because like there are no predators for you. And it's not necessarily that like you're the predator that's like hunting people. Like you're not going to be like a loan shark or anything. If this is business related. But it's just like there's nothing around that could hunt you or take you down or bring you down. So there's nothing to be afraid of. So like you're gonna very quickly just like let go of being hyper aware of things around you and like looking to threat assess stuff. And I don't want to say this is a carefree time. It's just a very secure time with like all the fours, ha. But it's just like a, it's just a very like empowering, secure time where it's like if you're the gazelle, if you put your head down to like drink some water or like graze, just enjoy your physical abundance. Like nothing's gonna sneak up on you or get you. Um, like there are no predators that could take down something as powerful as you are. And I think that's one of like the best messages you can hear from this. One thing that brings the gazelle into balance if they're feeling like off kilter or like hyper worried or anxious is enjoying a cozy home. And one of the best parts about the turtle is they symbolize the recognition of home within the self. Like your home is where your heart is, and your heart is in you and yours. And you recognize that wherever you go, you set up like your own home and you feel at home because like you're comfortable, you're stable, you're secure. Again, with the fours, stable and secure, like within yourself. And so there's this really cool balancing act of you know how to you know how to regulate your energies, and that's part of what helped you quantum leap, but now you're just like you're so capable and stable and aware and like healthy and happy, and this is your celebration of what you've done, and the only thing you're responsible for is making sure that no one rains on your parade and you just whop them if they try. Like you give them a spanking, like a pat on the butt, and you send them on the way. Is what I'm hearing. I don't think you'll have to try very hard with that. Like it'll just kind of come naturally. And I think there will be like nuanced conversations that help you achieve that very easily. Like this isn't anything super dramatic or super big, but I'm bringing it up a lot because some of you like are a little worried about it, and this is the reassurance that you don't need to be coming from your future selves. So the last thing I want to do is read the messages that are related to your 4 stars, and then we'll be done. So your first number was 17. So we will go to page 17, which is really funny because the page 17 of this book is a chapter title instead of like a message. But I like it because it just says letting go. And I think it's really cool that it's chapter 2 because it's like this is the next chapter after the one that you've been doing, is just like we talked about here. Like you're like letting go of everything, but you're doing it happily because all this physical stuff in your life is getting upgraded. So that's a neat confirmation. And we'll move on because that was short, sweet, and to the point. Your next number is 139. So we will go to, too far back. Here we go. We'll go to page 139. So you can pause if you want to read it. And it reads, if it wasn't for needing you there so much, I'd need you here. Quote, thanks on behalf of all of those in your life right now who are just too busy or stressed or sad to see how much you add to theirs. You know what I mean. From the universe. I'm not wild about cloning unless they're talking about you. So I think that this message one pretty much speaks for itself. And for those of you who find it resonates, like you already know what to make of it. But I think that there's also something here about how some people are kind of cryptic with how much you actually mean to them. And I think that just being around you, regardless of if you share like your wealth and possessions with them, they don't express how much it means to them and that they're actually really appreciative of it. And I think some of that is because like you're stressed or have been stressed, some of you. And again, like you let go of that pretty quickly, but some of you were like worried about, oh, what if people like treat me different after I make a bunch of money? I feel like some of you have really like been blessed with super caring people in your life who they feel the same way on the opposite end, where they're worried and hyper aware about if you think that they're sticking around just because of your money. And so they act a little differently or say or don't say certain things because they don't want you to think that like they only care about you for your money. They actually genuinely enjoy you as a person. So this could be a calling for some of you to like look more closely at the loved ones in your life and like start to understand how much some of them like actually appreciate you, because they'll do like little things that tip it off, um, but they're like shy about it because they don't want to give you the wrong impression. And I'm hearing for some of you, if you're gonna have like new romantic interests in the future, um, some of the ones that are quote like the right one, they'll act like that where they'll be more reserved than they would originally like to be or would be around other people because they don't want to give you the impression that they just want to be in a serious relationship with you for your money. They just really enjoy you as a person, and the money is like a cool bonus, but it doesn't mean anything to them. So be on the lookout for that if that message resonates with you, because that's a really cool one. Okay, we'll move on to your next number, which is 99. So for 99, we have a short and simple page. And it says, it's not about what they do, it's about what you do. I'll deal with them, trust me. And I think even though this book is written with the intentions of those messages coming from the universe, I think your higher self is kind of telling you this message about how if there are certain people that are gonna like be weird around you or like jealous of you or like want your money, or we talked about for some of you, like maybe when your business gets more successful, like other higher up management people will get really weird. You'll find that these people kind of just like fall away from you. And there are some people you don't get around to actually pushing out of your life. They just stop showing up. Um, and that's pretty okay. Like that seems nice and convenient. So we'll move on. And your last page is number 31. So we'll go to 31, just right here. All right. So this page says, behold a being of light, radiant, illuminated, and full of grace. Come to lift humanity higher into the light. All bow and sing praise. And it's you. What are you doing back in time and space? Aha, I see. Pretending. Well, that's perfectly understandable. We all need to pretend once in a while. So, how's it going? Yes, indeed. Challenges. Part and parcel of any worthwhile adventure. Tell me, there's a rumor that in time and space, the illusions are so captivating, the coffee's so rich, and the chocolate's so dark, it's easy to forget you're just making it all up, and that all you have to do is awaken. is to pretend your way to wherever it is you'd like to go. And I think this message is one, reaffirming something that you've done, to my suspicion, mostly unconsciously for most of you. With the quantum leap card, where like you broke an illusion about how things are supposed to go or how things are supposed to work in the universe. And that's why all this abundance is just coming to you right now. But I think for a lot of others of you, you're going to realize, like, spiritually and like energetically, what you've been up to and why everything's coming right now. And you're going to realize how powerful you are at manifesting what you want. And that's part of why I said this wasn't going to be like a fleeting thing for you or like a singular windfall. Like, this is going to be a new sustained way of living for you that just is like wealthy, and allows you to like afford or attract whatever like physical luxuries you desire. So that was the last message. That is all I have for you. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to be your tarot card reader with this really exciting, really empowering news. And if you want to tell me specifically about what's going on, because I'm curious and would love to hear from you, you can leave a comment on this video, or if you want to keep things private, you can email us. Our email is in the video description. And if you liked any of the crystals here, like if you want to buy the one that's just for your pile, it's number 2, you can find it on our website, which is lunaticclick.com. It's also in the video description, it's linked. And I will see you next time in a brand new reading. Welcome, my dears, to pile number 3. So if you picked your pile using this moss agate or the significator card Ace of Swords, or with the numbers on the lucky stars, which are 125, 63, 191, and 190, or 1. I think it is 191. In the pile intro, I said 181, but I misread it. So we have 191 and 190 in this pile. Okay, I'm going to put the stars aside, put them over here for now. And how we're going to do this reading is you have tarot cards from 4 different decks that are going to tell us what's going on. And I'm really excited about this reading because if we want more information, I'm just going to use oracle cards. So it's going to have, at least for me, like a very different feel. And we'll just we'll pull some oracle cards from some decks of my choosing, dealer's choice, to figure out what else is going on with you or answer any other questions we have. And then at the end of the reading, I have 4 different books, and we're going to go to the pages that are numbered on each of your stars for each of the books to end with some like encouraging or little motivational quotes. And it was just supposed to be 4 because that's the number of the day with the 4/4 portal. But because I misread one of the stars wrong in the intro as 181 instead of 191, I feel like you cheated and now you're going to get 5 quotes. So you ruined it. But we're going to start by going through your tarot cards here, and we're gonna see what we can get. So I just showed you the Ace of Swords card, and when I was pulling this card for like the pile introduction and the shuffling, I heard a brand new adventure. So it's very fitting with aces of any suit. We'll see what's going on. But you might be starting something new with this 4/4 portal energy. And that's pretty exciting because that means like whatever you're starting now is going to turn into something like very prosperous and stable moving forward, and it'll be around, and I'm hearing like serve you well for a really long time. So the next tarot card we have here is number 13 with death. And I actually really like seeing that card next because death usually signifies like the end of an old cycle or an old energy. So you're like ending something to start something new. And to me, it has very much in a video game like level up vibes where it's like you're choosing, because this isn't the tower card, like you're choosing to end or prune something that like either you've outgrown or isn't serving you anymore to start something that's going to become like very stable and sustain you or fulfill you for a very long time afterwards. So next we have the Five of Swords, and there was another pile that got the Five of Swords, and I'm not going to tell you which pile because if you were drawn to it, you know. But it's cool to see this energy come up multiple times in the 4/4 portal because the Five of Swords is inherently, with the number 5, unstable. So it's all about changing and like transferring. And for you specifically, I'm hearing transmuting. So it's like you're taking this thing uh, that wasn't serving you, and you're taking all of like this energy or time or resources or like emotional capacity that you were allocating towards it, and you're redirecting and focusing all of that to something that is worthwhile and worth your time and will grow into something that's actually beautiful and will one day like serve and support you. So re you're like redefining what you're spending like your time and energy on and refocusing it to something that is no longer going to be draining you. And I think that that is an excellent thing to do any time of the year, not just on a special portal day. So your last card is another 5. So there's a lot of change happening for you right now. But this one is the 5 of Cups. And I see this, especially with like the imagery of this card with all of the open eyes. I see this as today or close to today. It could be today in the near future. It just happened. And for those of you who are watching this whenever, it's close to whenever you see this video. I see this as kind of like a wake up call. So normally the 5 of Cups depicts someone being in a lot of like emotional distress and specifically feeling a lot of loss or like being stuck in some kind of situation that causes them to suffer. And the trick with the 5 of Cups is it's always a situation that like you could get out of, but whatever like loss or suffering or emotional strife is going on, it has you so like tunnel visioned and focused on it and locked in that you don't see how easy it is to get out of the situation. But for you, the energy I'm getting is that like you had a wake up call and you understand that like you can get out of the situation and leave whatever it is that's causing like this emotional turmoil behind. And that's kind of what the death card and the 5 of Swords are talking about. Is like you're actually leaving that behind and you're starting something new with the Ace of Swords. And with the sword suit specifically on the ace, I see that like your wake up call was mostly just mental clarity on the situation and realizing like whatever you thought was keeping you stuck like wasn't actually keeping you stuck, and you more or less went from like taking the word or the status quo of others in the situation around you uh, to taking control of the situation yourself. It's kind of like if you were sitting on the back of a horse and somebody was holding the reins and they were walking you down a trail, and you were like, well, what if I wanted to go like the other way? Or the trail has a fork in the road and they start walking to the left. It's kind of like if you grabbed the reins from them and you steered the horse in the direction you wanted to go or to the right by yourself. It's like you always had the ability to do that, but because this other person was guiding the horse, you felt like it wasn't your place to intervene, or like you were supposed to just get carried along for the ride. And then through like your own thoughts, you just decided like, no, I'm going to take control of the situation. That's kind of the energy I'm getting here. Is like something happened, you got a wake up call, and then you got like the mental clarity from that wake up call, or the mental clarity like gained you the ability to see the situation for what it is, and then you changed your mind about how you wanted to handle it, and like everything just changed for you. And you're probably feeling better about it, and if you don't yet, like you will soon. So with the Five of Swords, because it is a lot of change, I wanted to explain a little more about the dynamics of the energy, specifically being in the swords suit. The Five of Swords has a lot of symbolism around cruelty. So it's not necessarily that like you're being cruel or others are like being cruel towards you, but there's an energy of like unhappiness and being in a situation where like not necessarily that things aren't fair, but what I'm seeing for you is that you were in a situation that like definitely wasn't serving you, thus like the emotional strife, and if me getting the vibe that like some old situation was kind of like draining you or leeching off of you. But the really cool thing about the Five of Swords is it has like a little flip side call to action of reflecting the energy of like you standing up for yourself. And we kind of already talked about how you're doing that, how you're like letting go or specifically ending this old situation to start a new one. But I think it's an important thing to note that it's swords specifically, because this is very much the energy of like being sharp on like a mental level, being very cunning. There's definitely an energy of thinking before you're acting that you're taking with you. And what I'm kind of picking up on here is that like you'll know when you're ready or you're winding up to make this big change when you don't feel stressed about the situation anymore, or like you don't feel like deceived or like things are unfair, you're being cheated, but it's more like that calm clarity of like I'm officially done with this and I'm gonna do this and this and this to just like move past it. Um, and so maybe there's like anger or some other intense emotions involved in like getting you to this point. But I think when you hit that like calm clarity of you know what you want to do, so you just go do it without questioning it. Like that's the sort of the powerful energy that I see you in. And I think that makes a lot of sense with the 4-4 portal, because there's a lot of power behind it, and there's a lot of like stability and certainty behind it. There's not a lot of um like doubt or fear or like inability. There's a lot of like capability you can pull from this energy. Okay, let's get some oracle cards because this reading is a little more general. I figure we can't get too many details from this because the situation's going to be different for everybody. But maybe we can get some more advice for those of you that would like some spilled tea on like maybe what you can work on, um, or a little more detail about what the new endeavor you're starting is. So let's grab a couple cards and see what we can get for you. There's one, we'll take it. Nice. So we'll unpack these cards in a minute. I wonder if there's a second card from this deck you might want. Let's take this one. Okay. And I think we'll take a card or two from this deck as well. I like that. The water chalice lands over the Five of Cups. Okay, that's probably important. And then let's give you some more specific, direct advice. And by that, I mean cards that literally have a message printed on them. So maybe we'll get one from here. Oop, yep, we'll take that one. Perfect. And we'll take one from here. Nice. I think I want to start with not the obvious cards. We'll get to them. But I actually want to start with the magic and the curse cards. So the curse card is a call to action, a reflection of the energy you're going to be in, of recognizing what your limiting beliefs are or have been. And it's a lot of what we talked about with this like eye-opening moment with the Five of Cups here. But I feel like the moment we talked about up here, this like mini awakening or big one, depending on what your situation is, with the Death card and the Five of Cups and all this change and starting something new. I feel like that's exactly what this was, is you had a first realization that started something new. And these cards down here are advice on what to do on this brand new path as you take your first steps to help make this flourish into something that you'll be proud of and is worthwhile and will be really stable. So this is more advice of what to do next. There's very much the energy in this reading of like, yeah, you had this moment or you're gonna move on. Like, let's talk about what's next, because like I'm just getting the very definitive energy of like, you can handle this and this isn't something that you need help or advice with. Like it's moving on with nurturing like this new journey that you're going on, that you're guides, the universe, spirit, your higher self, whatever, whoever, um, wants to talk to you about. So with the curse, there's the same energy of letting go of like limiting beliefs, and specifically limiting beliefs that like didn't stem from you. So these are things that have been like generational, so passed down from like grandparents to parents to you. Other peers have told you, other people in your social circles, or like um, people in like political arenas, or like your government has told you like you can or can't do or achieve, stuff like that. But somehow those things, ideas that you've been told have been internalized, and now they're holding you back. And the nice thing about this is that it's easier to understand like what ideas are yours and are not yours very quickly, because when you question and challenge them and you think about like, where did this come from? Where did I hear it? Do I agree with it? It'll be really easy to identify, oh, I heard that from somewhere first. I didn't think of that. And when you start questioning it, like, why should I believe this? Like, what good is it doing for me? All that stuff, it'll very quickly get flagged as something that's like not needed. And when you try to defend it, it'll fall away pretty easily because it just doesn't line up with like your genuine ideals. And that's where the magic card comes in. The magic card has like the energy and the call to action of what you would want starting a new journey, with the Ace of Swords, where it's all about having like a mental reset of understanding that like anything you're called to do like is possible to do, and you recognize on some level, regardless of how sound your logical mind decides it is, you recognize that on some level like it is possible, otherwise you wouldn't imagine it or think that it's something that can like eventually be done, or something that you would eventually want to do in this lifetime. And it might take some ingenuity and some crafty thinking, but like that's what a cycle in swords is good for. So you're here to like unleash yourself mentally and like achieve new things with a new outlook on what's possible and not possible. And some of you might feel like later in this cycle, when you achieve something big, looking back on it and thinking like, I never thought I would have been able to actually do this. And it'll just, you'll have one of those moments of like, who would have thought I'd actually find myself like here now compared to where I started. But those kind of make the best stories, you know, those are like the inspirational ones that everyone really loves to hear. And it's cool that you got the magic card with the water chalice, because the water chalice talks about letting go of the version of you that is in disbelief, that shuts yourself down, that says no, that limits yourself. And I think it's doubly cool symbolism wise that you got this over the Five of Cups, because there's one cup that like didn't fall down, that the eye is like kind of more fixated on. Or you could argue it's fixated on the one that's like filling up, but there's one cup that like didn't get spilled and that you're not trying to fix, like it's fine. Um, and that kind of feels like that one has the energy of, those are like your real beliefs that like you actually hold, and they're not being like shaken or need to be maintained, because like those are your truths, like it's your intuition, your passions, like your callings. It's what your heart wants and what you genuinely believe in. And you're kind of tapping into that more to like break away from these ideals that you've internalized, and they may have been like placed upon you, but like they're not genuinely you. They're just something like you adopted as you navigated this very complicated lifetime, uh, that is like the physical world of Earth, with all these other people that have some crazy things they'll tell you over and over and over again. So it starts to feel like normalized. But you're going to break away from those things, and you're going to like reinvent and redecide what is true to you, what is possible to you, what's worth pursuing to you, what isn't, like what ideals and values you want to lead your life with, and what things you actually want to go pursue and make possible. And that's really why this magic card is over the death card and the ace of swords, because anything that you decide isn't worth placing your values upon or building a new life or a new journey upon, like you're simply just going to like kill and move on. I kind of think of it as like as the energy of if you're a gardener and you really want to grow all of these like exotic tropical plants, you have the energy of when you see weeds in your garden, you're not gonna like go into a lot of mental strife or wonder why they're here or like try to figure out if they're a plant worth growing. Like you're gonna know right away, like on site, like yeah, that's a weed and I don't want it here, and you're either gonna rip it out or just like spray it with weed killer and move on. Like it's not gonna be a big deal. It's not gonna be hard, and the more that you do this, you like weed these like toxic thoughts, these limiting beliefs out of your mind, the easier it'll be to keep doing it. And like you've already done it once when you start this journey. You would have gotten rid of like the big one, and that's kind of like the breaking of the dam to get everything else in motion. And so you already like did the hardest part, which was the first one. And now it's just going to get easier to keep cultivating like a healthy mindset and getting rid of like the limiting beliefs that kind of are the weeds in this analogy. And that brings us to these two cards, which is a really nice segue because this card, I'll hold it up so you can see it better. It just has two words. It says Creator Earth, and then it has the alchemical symbol for like the earth element. And what I see here is that there's the advice of not leaving things in the mind, but of like applying those to the physical world to like actually create on this earth. And so that doesn't mean like you have to write a book or write everything down unless you're called to, or like make big like elaborate sophisticated like pieces of art that like visually allow people to interpret these breakthroughs you've had. But it could be as simple as like as you make decisions moving forward, you make decisions based on these new beliefs, and like the things that you choose to narrate in your mind or the way that you speak to yourself or other people is reflecting like your internal beliefs. Um, and so it's just going to be like a different way of critically assessing situations and like valuing your time and resources and how you choose to allocate them. Like this is a lot more, I would say this is a lot more profound, but also a lot more intangible than saying like, hey, just do that thing you want to do, because you're like inventing a new way of thinking and assessing like yourself and your own thoughts. Like this is like practicing mindfulness to the max. That's going to allow you to have the ways of thinking and the stances that you want mentally and emotionally to be able to go pursue like the life that you want, or even decide what's worth pursuing to begin with. Like this has a very philosophical root in it somewhere, and that's like what this energy and this new journey is for you. Is it's a new way of thinking and being, and that's really beautiful and really profound. And I think that it's something that you'll be happy that you did and be really proud that you spent the time doing it, because it's going to have a lasting effect on your life by like reshaping how you see everything moving forward and how you value everything moving forward. And I think that this last card here, the apathy card with the sunflower, see if we can, there we go, apathy. So it just says, You can pause if you want. I'm going to pull it down to read it. It says, ignite your passion for its true antidote. It's the true antidote to indifference. And I think that this is just a reminder that sometimes when people get really in their heads and they start to think about like what's important and why, and do I want to feel these emotions and why, they can get like a little calculating, a little cold. Sometimes people who deeply pursue philosophy, and this isn't for all of you, this is specific. Sometimes people who deeply pursue philosophy can get like a little bit depressed because they stop seeing like just the deep, simple meanings in things. Um, and that can kind of rob them of like just understanding that like being here and doing things that you want to do because you like to do them sometimes is enough. They get a little bit robbed of like joy and bliss and tranquility. So there's a call here with apathy to like balance the work you do on your mind with like the pleasures you enjoy of just being alive and finding whatever that healthy balance is for you. I can't tell you what it is because this is a general reading and everyone's different. So um, there's just a call to, even if you're reinventing things and some things might not like hit the same as they did before, like you might start enjoying different like pastimes or preferences that you didn't think you would, like just lean into those and make sure that like you're still enjoying yourself regardless of how quick or how slow this journey is or feels to you. Okay, we will end with the messages from your stars now. And we will be reading 5 because you cheated. I didn't forget. So we'll start with the first book. And the first number, which was 125. So let's go to page 125. This is the second time this has happened. But page 125 is actually a chapter. It's chapter 6. And it just says self confidence. And I think that that message in itself is really, really cool because I think part of what you're doing is you're entering a new chapter of self confidence. Because when somebody works on their mind the way that you are and the way that you're going to, one of the most profound things that you cultivate is like actual stability of the mind, of self confidence. And I think that's really cool because the 4-4 portal, a lot of people talk about how there's going to be like um, major manifestations in the physical world. And it's like you bring your thoughts and your dreams to life in a meaningful physical way. And so it's a really powerful time for like manifesting. So there's a lot of, and that's where they get like the stability and the strength. Almost strength is the wrong word, but I'm blanking on the right one. But it's a lot of the stability, the success, the profound like power you can draw from this, like if you focus like your intentions and your energies. um and this is like a lot of like prosperity. And I think for you, you're more on the mind side of it, where it's like you're figuring out how to focus your mind, refine your thoughts, understand how to assess what you want and what you don't want. And that will in turn just bring about like massive physical changes because of how differently you're going to conduct yourself and navigate yourself through the physical world. So you really are starting a new chapter. And you're going to be really confident because you did the work to understand what values you hold and why, and what things, beliefs, values, ideas, energies you reject and why. And it's really gonna like liberate you to do and achieve whatever it is you want. And that's that 4-4 portal energy. So I think that even though it wasn't technically a quote. That was still like one of the best messages you could have got. So I'm really happy with that. And we're going to move on to your next message. So your next message is on page 63. We'll use this book for it. So page 63 here. I'll hold it up and then you can pause if you would like to. But I'm going to bring it back down to read. So it says, persistence, persistence, persistence. On the surface, it might just seem like physical flailing, but spiritually, you're speaking directly to me and you're saying, you hear me and you hear me good. There ain't no way. I'm doing without. I refuse to accept maybe, sort of, or not yet. I am the power, the glory, and the way. My words quicken the ether. My actions fulfill their prophecy, and thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And frankly, when confronted with such clarity, such style, such finesse, it makes my knees go wobbly, and I'm like putty in your hands. Rock on, rock on. So this book is written to be like from the perspective of the universe. And so this quote is conveying to you that in your persistence, in your ability to try and try again, you'll see that you'll be able to manifest what you want. And so for you, because we're talking a lot about clearing up things on like a mental level, this isn't like, oh, just practice running and you'll be able to run faster. Like, we're not talking about track athletes here. But what we are talking about is in your mind, if you find kind of like a break or a standstill, like you're like, do I believe in this or not? And you can't find a definitive answer. And it just takes more time for you to like ruminate on certain thoughts or beliefs or ideals to decide whether or not you want to adopt them for now or like let them go. Like, don't be frustrated with that. Um, just let yourself think about it, like without judging yourself on what you think about it and how long it takes for you to think about it, and just revisit it again later. And if you need to, revisit it again later. And as you do that, or like think about other stuff first and then come back to the hard questions later. As you do that, as you're persistent and you don't just ever say like, I give up, I don't know, whatever, and like just move on or like accept what someone else told you. If you actually practice that persistence, like you'll come to conclusions and answers that you're genuinely happy with, and that will serve you very well for taking you on this new journey and like eventually seeing changes in your physical world that you would want to see, that you're happy with. So that's that. And we'll get to your next book. And this is the one where it's the 181 191 split. So we'll just read both of them from this book because I'm not giving you a fifth book. You cheated. So we'll go with 181 first. So if you would like to pause, this is page 181. It says, a public service announcement from the universe. Be on guard against those who help others in the name of sacrifice, selfishness, or altruism instead of the name of joy, because usually they don't really help all that much. And then in italics it says, sad is the life that gives without realizing how much in turn it receives. So I think that some of the limiting beliefs and ideals that you've been carrying for a while here may fall under a similar energy as this. So this is like a hint for those of you out there that this resonates with, where perhaps there are beliefs around like I have to be nice to people or do X, Y, and Z for specific individuals um, because like not doing those things would be selfish, or like putting myself first would be like selfish, and it's good to like sacrifice certain things and blah blah blah. Like it's a lot of like kind of martyrism energy here, where being selfless to the point of neglecting ourselves has for a very long time been praised, specifically because when we get things from other people, we see those people as like being nice. But when someone else says, no, I'm not going to do this for you right now, um, a lot of people don't get anything from that. And those of us who are like well balanced, we're fine. We say, like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, maybe we can hang out later, catch up later. But for those that are like very selfish and like very needy, somehow they tend to generally be the louder ones that tell people like, oh, that's not okay, and then they shame you for it, and like they like find a way to like push themselves into your life harder. And like if they figure out they can push you around, they'll like bully you into like doing self-sacrificing things, like not getting rest and like serving them instead. And I think this is just a reminder message for specific individuals out there in this pile that like there are certain people that like you may have to look at your relationship with them more closely, because they've been telling you something so often that you've kind of like internalized it and adopted it. So for example, like you have to go do things for like your brother or your sister because like your family and blah blah blah, and it's like, but those things that you're being asked to do, the way that you're being asked to do them like isn't healthy for you. Like after you get off like a double shift at work, you're supposed to like go take care of them or like drive them somewhere or whatever, when like they could just take the bus and the whole situation could be done for everyone. And it's like, yeah, it's a little more inconvenient for them, but like that's their problem. um, there's an energy of like not shirking responsibilities, but you're being asked to do stuff that's like unnecessarily hurting you when it would just be like a minor inconvenience for the person that's making a big fuss about it. Okay. So here is the next page. And before we move on, actually, you can pause if you need to on that. But before we move on, I do also want to say, like, even if you said no to something that majorly inconvenienced someone else, like, it's up to you to decide, like, when you serve somebody or extend niceties to somebody or just choose to help somebody out. And so even if you like say no and that person is in like a much worse spot because you said no, um, that doesn't mean that like you owe them whatever it is they're requesting of you. Like you get to make your own choices, and like you're not here on this earth to like just serve other people and help other people out. And so like if you didn't make a prior commitment to serving them, if they ask you to do something, like you can say no and it's not your fault or your responsibility, and you don't need to feel bad about it. And of course that comes with contingencies. Like if you're raising a child and the kid says I'm hungry and you're like I don't feel like cooking, like yeah, that actually is something that you shouldn't do. Like you should make sure your child is fed. So like hopefully you can just like exercise like nuance and when you take this advice. But like generally if someone's like I'll be worse off if you don't do this thing for me, like that's not your fault, and that's not a reason for them to like exploit you or get you to do what they want you to do. Okay, so this quote on 191 says, all right, the reservations been made, and a Beechcraft 400A private jet with experienced staff, advanced multimedia hookups for every passenger, and faux leopard skin sleeper recliners throughout will be yours for any 21 days you choose, just as soon as you arrange a payment of $368,000 in advance. Fuel, of course, will be extra. Now repeat after me. Quote, You have to be joking. Faux leopard skin is so early 2000s. What else do they have? End quote. Cool. Now stay with this perspective because this kind of transaction takes place every single day for those who already have. And because perspectives summon circumstances that change fortunes. So there's a lot of details in here, but essentially the message is your ideals that you or others have said, like those are too good to be true. Um, Inherently, that label that you've slapped on them now is what we talked about with the curse card, where it's a limiting belief. And just because it seems outlandish doesn't mean it's not possible or it's too good to be true, or specifically it's too good for you, regardless of like what other people or yourself have told you. And so this message is a call to just understand that like it's only too good for you if you genuinely believe it's too good for you. But if you pull yourself out of that energy, that belief that it's too good for you, now it's something that you can actually have and achieve, and it's very possible that that thing can come to you. So that's a pretty good message, and I'm a little less mad that you cheated. And we'll go to your last message, which is number 190 in our final book. So here we go. Last message right here. Let's see if we can get it to focus for you. There we go. So you can pause here if you want it. I'm going to read it though. And sometimes you wonder whether or not you've been realistic, whether or not it's within you, whether or not, quote, it really works. But in your wondering, you've given pause to an entire universe that never once thought to doubt and yet still is poised to deliver. So I think this message is pretty clear. I think for you specifically, in this pile number 3, there's a real call for you to challenge self-doubt. Because if you're trying to manifest something or change the ways that you're thinking about something, one of the best ways to slow it down is to interject with doubt, because that's an energy that clashes with the confidence of this is going to happen, or like I do have this, or I do believe in this and I don't like that. Like this is a responsibility I have. I don't owe them anything. When you doubt those things, that gives the allowance and risk for you to potentially like go backwards or move away from beliefs that like you actually hold near and dear, that like are your internal truths. So this is just a reminder that like doing a lot of this like mental work that you're doing and this philosophical work that you're going to be doing can get kind of confusing, and it can make you like in that confusion sometimes doubt things that like don't really need to be doubted. And so there's just a reminder here to like exercise um like mental surety and draw on like the core beliefs that you do have, that like you don't see yourself as ever genuinely questioning. And these can be really simple things, and these can be things that like maybe you develop over time. So some of you might feel like, what are some really good ones? Like a lot of people subscribe to like murder in cold blood is wrong, or like being unnecessarily cruel to other people for no reason, like hurting others, like just punching a stranger on the street because you feel like it. Not a good idea is wrong. But sometimes it's like very inherent things that you would agree with, like people on this earth deserve to like be autonomous, do what they want to do. Um, like they deserve to be loved. They deserve to like pursue their passions. A lot of people would agree with that general statement. But when you get more specific, like, oh, you deserve to do what you want to do and pursue your passions, sometimes that water can feel a little muddy where people are like, well, no, because like my passion is far fetched or ridiculous or it's not going to happen, or um, like my family says otherwise, or like my significant other says that's not a good idea. And it's like, but you agree that everyone deserves to have that. So like, why don't you deserve to have that just because of like a couple um, like details in your life? You know what I mean? And so there's kind of like a call here to like understand what your truths are and then like go with them and like not really question or doubt that. So it's like there's no reason to question or doubt whether or not you deserve to like be loved or supported when you pursue like your passions, regardless of what your circumstances are. So that's the last message I have for you. We'll leave the reading here. I want to thank you one more time for trusting me, allowing me to be your reader and deliver this message. It was really fun, and I think it's super encouraging. Like, this is really powerful energy of reshaping how you think and how you define yourself, and like choosing what your ideals are instead of going with what everyone told you they should be. That's really powerful stuff. So, if you want to tell me about it, because this is a general reading and I don't know what you're doing, you can leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Or if you want to keep things more private, you can email us. Our email is in the video description. And if at any point in time you're interested to learn more about who we are, or maybe you want to buy some of the crystals you might see in our videos, or maybe you want the specific one for this pile because it meant something to you, this one's number 3. But if you would like that, you can visit our website at lunaticclick.com, and the link for that is also in the video description. So I'll leave you with that, and I will see you next time in a brand new reading. Welcome, my dears, to pile number 4. If you chose this pile with this moss agate or with the judgment card, number 20, with this card, or with the 4 stars here, with the numbers 23, 176, 146, or 50, then this is your reading. So, I'm really excited to do this reading because I have tarot cards for your significator cards, and then the information I'm going to ask for in this reading for like additional details or questions or advice, it's all going to be oracle cards of my choosing, dealer's choice. So I'm really excited to just see where this goes because it's very open. And for those of you who maybe skipped the intro, like we're just talking about what energy you're going to be in and what's going to come of the 4/4 portal that is today. So, what are you manifesting? What success is coming into your life? What prosperity is coming into your life? Like what's coming about today, or coming about from something you're starting today, that's going to be like really stable, steadfast, and fruitful for you. So we're going to put these little stars off to the side. And the point of these stars with the numbers, aside from maybe helping some of you pick your pile, is at the end of the reading, each of these numbers is going to correlate to a message via page numbers in 4 different books that I have put aside. So let's jump right into your tarot cards and see what message we get here. Now, I know straight off the bat, whatever energy is talking to me, whether it be your spirit guides, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, or your higher self, they're really talkative because I got quite a few cards compared to the other piles. And so that could be like a personality thing, or there could just be a lot to say and unpack here. We'll figure it out. So we saw the judgment card, and I'm going to put that off to the side over here. And we will continue. So you got an additional mushroom tarot card. So we have the Two of Wands. I am hearing like the twos usually have to do with choices. I'm hearing that there is a lot of choices or a big choice. I think for most of you, it's a big choice that's being made here. I'm talking earth shattering or life shaping for you. Like if you're gonna like propose to somebody, maybe for some of you. Like I'm seeing a lot with like I know it's not the same as the lovers card, but I kind of heard the lovers when I saw it. So like yeah, maybe some of you are proposing, maybe some of you are asking somebody out, maybe some of you are asking for like a specific lawyer to like defend you in a case, like something huge. Maybe you're moving like really far away. Something big. Here I have the King of Swords, and it would be just like the energy of a 4/4 portal to have like some big choice that's going to profoundly impact the rest of your life for the better, by the way, to show up on a day like today. Or if you're watching this in the future, whenever you're watching it, you're in like some big manifestation energy. Okay. So, for the King of Swords, we also have the Devil. So, something again about big choices. And some of those being like really enticing. I'm hearing tantalizing. Oh, I feel like some of you guys are definitely getting married. For those of you out there, you'll know if that's you, if this resonates. I don't have to tell you. And now I'm just being kind of like a nosy little neighbor. With the King of Swords, I feel like you're in the best position possible right now to make that choice, like mental clarity wise, and you know that. Um, I'm also hearing like you have a way with words, and I think for some of you, this choice or your decisions about it um, are going to change or be decided in a very eloquent way because you're able to express yourself concisely and fully and very persuasively to others around you. And that's not a bad thing. But like with the king here, like you're definitely in your power right now and you're in like the best energy and the best position probably in your whole life to be able to make this decision with the confidence and the surety that you need to make it and like not regret that decision later and carry it out in like and convey that decision in the best way possible. So, super great energy. Really happy for you. Have no idea what you're doing, but congratulations. We'll continue with your cards. So, here we have the Six of Swords. It's kind of funny I said you have a way with words because I did mention before, like, someone's really talkative. So, there's a lot about like vocalizing here and explaining yourself here. And then we have the Four of Swords in reverse. Interesting. There's a lot to talk about with making a decision, but weighing the costs of said decision. And I think I'm hearing a couple things. One thing I'm hearing is that's just like you. So maybe you're um, someone who's very careful with big decisions they make, or planning or weighing out options. Like you're very calculating, perhaps, or very cautious. Um, I'm also seeing a lot about how, like, this decision will change your life in a way to where, regardless of what happens, like for better or worse, your life will not be the same. It will be very different. And I don't think that's a reason to shy away from making a definitive choice in this decision. I don't think you feel that way either. But what I do think is that for some of you, because this decision's so big, it feels a little bit scary. And for others of you with the sword, the Four of Swords in reverse, there's a real need to break away from like mindsets or ideals that you've inherited, but don't really help you with this decision. um, like the Four of Swords can show a lot about the need for new ideas, for letting go of old things. And the Four of Swords in reverse, specifically, I'm getting messages about how the ways that like you've been taught to think, or some beliefs that you've had, just because of who was influencing you in a certain stage of your life, or like how you were raised, how you grew up, whatever it was, those beliefs just like they fall flat now. Like they don't serve you, they constrain you, they hold you back, they make you limit yourself, they make you think certain things aren't possible when they are. One thing I'm hearing is like, for a lot of you out there, this decision you're making is proof enough that like certain beliefs you have that were limiting are actually false. So I'm gonna go back to this example one more time because I think it gets the energy across really clearly. But like for those of you who are planning on proposing to somebody, or like thinking about whether or not to accept a proposal if you're on the receiving end of it, like, am I gonna get married or not, kind of a thing. Um, I'm hearing that for some of you, this has the energy of like, if you were told your whole life, or what felt like your whole life, a very long time, like you could never get married, like no one would ever love somebody like you, and then now you're considering proposing a serious relationship, or you've been proposed to and you're thinking about whether or not to accept, like that belief has been proven wrong, like very clearly. And I don't think that's the same for all of you. Like maybe some of you were told you won't be successful in your career, and you're making a decision about like whether or not to sell your business because it's doing so well, but like you're tired of managing it. Or maybe some people were told like you're not smart enough for college, and you sent out a bunch of applications and you got a bunch of acceptance letters back, so now you're trying to figure out like which college you want to go to. And so it's like the decision of which college you go to doesn't shake the fact that like those beliefs about you were like so wrong. And maybe you were just applying to college on a whim, more of like a hope and a prayer, like a dream. Like you're like, I really want to go, but like everyone told me I won't get in, so I'm just wasting my money on these application fees. But you did it anyway. Um, because somewhere inside you, like you recognize that that's something you really wanted to achieve in this lifetime. And then you get these acceptance letters back and you're like, everyone was wrong and I was right. Like I can do this, and like this is part of my calling. Like there's something about this decision being something that you like, a choice that you're making at all, or one of the choices you can make from it, are going to shatter a lot of beliefs that you've been hearing around you a lot. And it's going to do so in a way to where you realize like just how much other people's opinions of you like have not served you at all. And so you're going to be like letting go of a lot of things. And I think that where I talked about with the cost coming in for this decision, you're not really absorbing any costs, really. Like, I think with the King of Swords and the Judgment card, like, before this choice is presented to you or you make the choice, like, you already know what you're going to do. Because you're like so in your power and you're so sure of yourself. Like, this isn't a problem for you. Like, I'm hearing for a lot of you, like, it may already be as well, like, be done because, like, you know what you're going to pick. But like the cost that's coming from this isn't really a cost for you. I think it's a good thing, but there may be a moment where like um part of you sees it as a cost, and it's like the cost of making this decision and like changing your life for the better and living the life that is aligned with what you want to do and the way you want to be is you're trading in like a very transactional kind of way. You're trading in all these things that don't serve you anymore. And I don't think there's like a better currency you could have to pay with than like just handing over stuff that you don't even want anymore. And I think for some of you at first, before you get hit with the realization of like all of these like people or sayings out there are really toxic and I don't want them anymore, you would have felt like this was a cost. Like I think this is a past you or like a past belief. But as soon as you get hit with everyone else was wrong, you're gonna have one of those moments that can only be perfectly expressed by like, oh. And then you're gonna be happy to let go of all of this. It's kind of like if someone handed you one of those like specific plastic bags for dog poop that was like tied off but had something in it. Um, but you've never seen like a dog poop bag before, and like you know what they look like. They're usually like green or have some pattern on them. But let's say like you came from another planet or you're living under a rock or somewhere where they just don't use them, and someone hands you one of those for the first time, and you're like, "Hey, it's got something in it. What is it?" And they told you like, "Oh, it's just like some trail mix." And you went like, okay, and like the bag's tied off so like you can't smell it or anything. And you're like, okay, well, it doesn't quite feel like trail mix, but like sure. Um, and then you like drop the bag, and when it hits the ground, it rips, and you see there's nothing but like shit in it, and you go, oh, they lied. Like they suck. I don't want them around anymore. That's a shitty person. That's kind of the energy I'm getting. Is like it was a blatant lie, but like because you didn't have a way to uncover it or like specifically prove it wrong, um, you didn't classify it as a lie. But then as soon as you realize it's false, you're so happy to like disregard it and disregard um, like all of these people that have been very like falsely and uncharitably like telling you things about yourself or your life. And so it's like it's actually a really good thing. And the 6 of swords is it's a little more stable than maybe like some of the other numbers, but it doesn't compare to the number 4. And like the 6 of swords is about change. And what you'll find is that this next choice that you're making that's leading to all this big change, which is really cool. It's like it feels like you're rescuing yourself at the cost of like purging all of these people that have been doing you wrong. And it's just gonna feel good. Like it's gonna feel like you get to go indulge all of like your most like desirable temptations. Like you get to indulge in all of those and at the consequence of nothing except for losing what you want to tell get lost anyway. Like it just doesn't feel like there's really like a bad downside here. And I think that that's perfect and super exciting. I have no idea what each of you are doing because it's a general reading, but like this is really cool energy, and I think I've said this in every pile, at least one other pile, but like I couldn't think of like a cooler energy to have in like a 4/4 portal reading. Because there's so much energy about taking like your dreams and focusing on them in a way that manifests them in like the physical world in a very stable way. And it's like you're literally like your dreams came true with just even being presented with this choice or picking a certain option in it. And everything that you wish wasn't true turns out wasn't true and it's just falling away. It's so cool. So I want to get a couple more cards. I have no idea what to ask or why or how. So I don't think I will. I think I will leave. Oh, I know what I want to do. I had an idea. I was gonna say I think I'll leave it open ended, but I got called to do this. So I have this oracle deck here that describes energies people can be in. And I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask, hello, okay, I guess we'll keep those. I was gonna ask like what energy you're gonna be in, like maybe before and after you make this choice, or I was gonna ask what energies people who are like good to you are and the people that'll fall away from you are, so you can like recognize them easier. But I got two cards before I could ask that, so we're gonna see what they mean. The first thing that stands out to me, besides the fiery colors, is like the outstretched wings, and I kind of hear that like you're gonna be soaring high, like all of this actual crap that's been weighing you down or holding you back, all of these uh, lies or like untruths, like they're just gonna fall away. And you figured out how to navigate the world and like fly with all this stuff tethered to you, holding you down. So without it, like you're gonna be unstoppable, is what I'm hearing. Like you're gonna feel so good. And for those of you who have found this reading after you made this decision, if it happened like earlier on this 4/4 portal, or when you find this reading, you already know, like it's just gonna feel really good. um, I'm hearing like relief and like free, powerful, excited, ecstatic, exuberant. That last one was kind of from left field, huh? Um, but these two cards I think are excellent indicators of it's funny they lined up under the card I've been pointing at for choice. It almost like for most of you, I don't want to say all of you because for some of you the choice you make is what proves a lot of this stuff wrong, like oh you could never do that and then you go choose to do it. um, but for those of you where just being presented with the choice proves a lot of this wrong, like it doesn't matter what choice you pick, like you're just gonna feel great. And for those of you where the choice does matter, it doesn't feel like a choice to you because you know what you want to do to feel great. And so even though other people are like, which one are you gonna pick? You're like, it's not a choice, that one. um, and you'll know which category you fall under. I don't feel called to try to get more information about that. Like it'll be very obvious. So even though the eagle is defined as air, it's depicted in this deck as a master of both air and fire elements, and it has the ability to wield both, basically like all masculine energies, like very action based stuff with strength and grace and ease and finesse. It just operates like the eagle operates on like a different plane from all of these like other terrestrial or lower flying animals, so it can get like a better view of what's going on, but it can also like hone in on exactly what it wants. And I see that like that's part of what this choice is doing, and the energy you're in with this choice is like you know exactly what you want before the choice even needs to be made, and you just have the ability to like go get it with so much expertise that it's not a question of if you'll be able to get it or attain it or achieve it or maintain it after you decide that's what you want to do. um, and then with the Phoenix card, with this like birth and rebirth, almost like a karmic cycle symbolism. For those of you who are into that, with the Phoenix, the biggest message I'm getting here is that this choice and this presentation of a choice is going to feel like a rebirth, like a cleansing fire and a purging to you, where like it's not like you're letting a lot of stuff die off that needs to die off. Like you're literally lighting all of it on fire. And through the cleansing fires of like you feeling empowered, um, only the things that are good for you are going to be able to not withstand that fire, but like be tempered by, become stronger and cleansed by that fire. And everything that isn't good for you is going to get burned and like no longer be in your life. And I think that that is just so cool. I keep looking at the devil card, and I think it's because like a lot of people have not looked at you like a demon or like a devil. Like they haven't like vilified you or made you something really scary to them. You just, with inherently how powerful you are, like you always were a little intimidating and scary to people who like weren't in that power. It's kind of like how it doesn't matter what the tiger's doing, it'll make a gazelle nervous. And that's not your fault, and it shouldn't be your problem. And you're realizing with this choice, it's not your problem. And everyone else is just gonna, like, who's not good for you, is just gonna avoid you instead of continuing to lie to you because you figured it out. Um, but what's gonna happen here is like you're gonna realize that all these people that were telling you lies, it's because instead of elevating themselves, working on themselves, building themselves up, because somewhere in their weird rancid thoughts they decided if they have to work on themselves, then that means uh, they have to admit they're not perfect, and that's a blow to their ego and they can't handle it. But I bet all they do when they talk to you is joke about like how terrible they are. So they're hurting and they're incomplete and they're handling it very poorly. But part of them handling it poorly was instead of working on themselves and seeing like at what a cool, awesome, capable level you're at, instead of trying to like raise that level and aspire to it, they just tried to pull you down and weigh you down like the little sacks of shit that they are. And what I'm seeing here is that like it just you're gonna hit a point in your life where like you see them for what they are, and like they don't matter and they can't hold you back anymore, and they recognize that too with like the energy change, the dynamics. And so like they're gonna fall out of your life. Some people I'm seeing, for some of you, you might have to like push them. I kind of get the scene, like the very classic scene of like, this is Sparta, and you just like front forward kick them. So I think you have like a lot of like edgy humor to you, and that lines up with your energy really well. I like it. But I think a lot of people like have, just because of your power, been intimidated and like made you out to be someone like horrible or scary, because if you wanted to, like you could wield your power and be like destructive. But it's like they're just placing their fears on you of like, oh, it's a possibility, like they could, so obviously they're the problem. And it's like, no, you're the problem because you were an ass. Like they didn't do anything, so there was no reason to be like that. And that's kind of part of what you're realizing too. So you're seeing people for like who they actually are when this happens, and it's going to do nothing but
feel good and empower you and all those other things I said already. And I'm really excited for you and I'm really happy for you. And I think a lot of people in your life that are going to stick around after you make this choice, like they're going to be really excited and happy for you too. I feel like for a select few of you, you're going to have that one friend who's like, I've been waiting for you to do this. Like, why didn't you do it sooner? um, like, there's a lot of people in your life who like genuinely have your best interests at heart, and like they're just going to be really happy that you made this decision as well because they've been seeing this for a little bit too, and now it's just made clear and obvious to everybody. So I think I'll draw just another card or two, um, because I don't want you to feel like you got gypped. All the other piles got way more Oracle cards, but you guys are like doing such cool, clear, definitive, neat stuff, and you got way more tarot cards. So I guess it's even. But I don't want you to feel gypped, especially if you watched like another pile, like if you came from the other one with the Four of Swords or something. So that's me and my ego speaking, probably. But we're gonna pull some cards for you anyway, because you're talkative. Okay, we'll stick with those three. So we have integrate your knowing, and there's a fox on it, which are known for being like cunning. We have the distraction of shiny things. I like how the fox is facing that. We have manifesting and doing. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, I don't think, or ease into this. So when I saw manifesting and doing, the first thing I did was misread the and as an is. And what that tells me is that somebody out there wants to replace this word and with is. So what they're really saying is making this choice is the last step to crafting the reality that you've been longing for. And you already knew that. So this is just confirmation. And I think that with integrate your knowing, this is just talking about how like it's reiterating the fact that like you know what choice you want to make. You know what choice is the right one. And after you do, like you know who's been lying to you and is nasty and is not good for you and doesn't need to be here. And you'll know which people you don't want to be there anymore. And like what other aspects of your life you would rather like revamp now that you know what you know. And like integrating what you know into like this choice and choices after this is something that you're just gonna do like very well. And doing is what makes you so powerful because like masculine energy is all about doing. So like this manifesting and doing card like might as well be stapled onto the ego card. Like we talked about it already and pretty completely. Like this message has been like very solid at being concise. So the last thing, the distraction of shiny things, I feel like you're going to be at a point in your life during this decision making or afterwards where like other people might see this as you being distracted by shiny things, but I think that's a false assessment. I think that you know what you're doing and people that are important and close to you know what you're doing. And what you're doing is you're pursuing what is important to you, like all of your like desires, your temptations, the tantalizing things. You're in a position both like confidence and energy and like actually just doing wise, um as well as not being held down by like these weights of lies of you're just going out and you're like re-experiencing everything the way that you want to and you're doing what you want to. And it feels good to do what you want to, so you're doing it. And people that don't understand like why that's important for you, because it's been feeling it feels different without all these like weights held on to you, to maybe go do like simple stuff again, that like other people will think you're just easily distracted or like easily amused is something I'm hearing. But what you're doing is like you're celebrating your accomplishments and the fact that you're here and you get to actually do this stuff, and feel good about it for once, is what I'm hearing for some of you. And so it's not a short attention span, you're easily distracted. It's you're seizing your opportunities in the moments where they're presented to enjoy yourself and celebrate where you are. So other people might see it as impulsive, but you're just being proactive. And I think that's an excellent energy to be in. So we're going to finish the reading with the messages that I promised from your stars, with the 4 books that I have available for you. And our first book has a message on page 23. So there's page 23. And this is the message. If you want to pause, read it. It says, choose to let go. Letting go does not mean that you are giving up or that you are weak. It could just mean that you are no longer allowing what hurts you to control you. Even if they are the ones who want you to let go of them, tell yourself that you are letting go because you want to. You are not obeying them, you are liberating your soul. And this message is like right on the nose for what we've been talking about. So I will leave it as is. I think that's a great confirmation. Our next message is on page 176. 175. Okay. So here's 176. In case you want to pause. It says, an enlightened soul is not one to whom truth has been revealed, but one who has summoned it. And not just when they've been driven by pain, but when life's seas were as calm as glass. But you have to admit it's kind of handy that way, pain. Just worked out like that, honest. So this message is supposed to be like from the point of the universe. That's why it's written like that. But I think that, again, that's just a really sweet confirmation of what the cards have been telling you, where it's like, it does suck that all these people like lied to you, and that is kind of a painful truth in a way, but you're gonna feel so empowered and elated that like I don't see that being a big deal for you, even though it's there. And it's like the truth just hit you, like a ton of bricks. And I think that's because in the background or previously before this choice, like you've been doing a lot of work. Like if we go back to like the college example I gave of applying for colleges, even though everyone told you you wouldn't get in, like you still put in the work during high school to get good enough grades to impress colleges when you applied to have them accept you. You know, so it's like even though everyone's been lying to you, like you've still been doing work despite those lies, and now it's finally paying off, which is like such a cool energy for the 4-4 portal. And I think that's really telling of the fact that like these were always lies, because if they weren't, then like you wouldn't be called to do stuff despite them, or in ways that would eventually prove them wrong. All right, so our next message is on page 146. Here's 146. Here's the message. This is, whoa. Did you mean for this to be happening? Did you intend to change the course of history? Do you fully comprehend the ripple effect, quote unquote? Well, just so you know, these are all unavoidable consequences of thoughtfulness, patience, and unbridled kindness. I love you when you're wild and crazy. And I feel like, again, this is just a big confirmation that, like, this choice that you're making is going to have this profound effect on the rest of your life. And it's like reinvigorating and reawakening like the best parts of you. So this is like really, really empowering, really cool energy. And we're just getting that message across like multiple mediums, which I'm hearing is like some of your guides' ways of trying to show you like how profound and true this message is because of all the synchronicities that are like lining it up across so many cards and decks and books and stars. And if you watch the intro, you know that like I pulled all of these stars before I pulled like any of these cards and before I flipped over any of those. So it's like all this stuff just happened to line up, and it's really, really cool that it did that. So your last message is on page 50. And I had this one bookmarked. Interesting. But my bookmark was for page 51. So, haha. Um, so, page 50. This was my message, in case you care. But your message is right here. And it says, impatience is what you feel when you think the future in hours, days, or years will be, quote, better than the present. It won't. And this is just a call to action to like live in the present, because when you say, let me look at that one more time. Because when you say, like, right now sucks, but maybe it'll be better tomorrow, like, you're really discounting the power you have to practice gratitude or like empowerment, stillness, and like be in the good energies that actually manifest like the good energy that you want. And I don't think that message is like scolding you or anything. I think that message is actually commending you for, even though like all these lies have been told to you and you've been navigating the world with them, like you still found a way to not really have those take away from your ability to like still go out and work towards and eventually get what you want. And like this 4/4 portal is like telling you like you're getting what you want, which is really, really cool and amazing, quite honestly. And I think it's commending you for understanding that, like, yeah, you can believe like your future is bright and tomorrow will be even better, but like you didn't let your your idealizations of the future detract from the now, and it kept you in a good energy to like bring all of this to you. So I think that last message was actually like your future self, like your higher self and your spirit guides like applauding you and being like, oh my gosh, you did so good. uh, and that's amazing. And that's an awesome note to leave this reading on. So I'm going to. um, and I would just like to thank you one more time for choosing me as your reader, allowing me to deliver this message, because it was really fun to see. And since this is a general reading and I have no idea what you're actually up to, if you want to leave a comment down below and let me know, I would love that. If you want to keep things more private, you can also email us. Our email is in the video description. If you are interested at all, connected to any of these crystals, including the one for this pile, which is number one in our shop, you can go to our website, lunaticlick.com. It's also in the video description. And you can actually like buy it or some other crystals for yourself or whatever you want, or just learn more about us. We have an about page. So, with that, I will leave you here and I will see you next time in a brand new reading.